Hey guys, ZFR back here again today, and today this is going to be my review for Metal Gear Solid 5. Now I'm actually going to make this pretty quick, and before I get into this review, I just want to say in advance, I am sorry about the gameplay in the background. I'm warning you now, it's going to be very lackluster. It's pretty much going to be me looking for something, most of it, to be honest with you. And the reason that is because something happened to all my files. I don't know what happened, but I guess they got deleted. I might have deleted them by accident. I don't really remember doing it, but it might have happened. So yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. But at the same time, I would have just recorded more, but unfortunately, I traded the game in after I finished the main part of the story, and I will tell you guys why that happened during the review. But anyway, let's get in this review, moving past that and everything. So just getting straight into this, pretty much Metal Gear Solid 5 was a good game. I'm going to say that right off the bat. It was a really good game in my opinion. Jumping into the story, talking about that, the story honestly is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Hero, I guess you could technically say, arises again or whatever, wakes up again, and then supervillain uses a super weapon to try to take over the world or reforge the world in his image, whatever. Pretty much that's the story in a nutshell. It's really generic, to be honest. It really is. But don't worry, guys. Don't let that turn you away, because the journey to get through all that, even though that sounded really simple and generic, like getting through all that, to be honest with you, like it was pretty darn interesting. Like the story itself turned out to be pretty good, to be honest, and it looks like there actually is going to be a little bit of action during this gameplay. I totally forgot about this part, but anyway, yeah, the story, it actually is somewhat decent. There were a lot of good characters, and I felt like all the characters in a way were pretty strong. They all had different personalities. There were a lot of great character interactions and stuff like that, so I don't have any problem with that. The cutscenes and stuff were always fun to watch. I'm glad there just weren't 2-hour cutscenes like I heard there were in the past Metal Gear games. That was sucked. But yeah, like so yeah, overall, like, the story itself was great. Talking about graphics, the game looks amazing, like as good as any game looks on PS4 right now. If I'm correct, this may be the best looking game on PS4. 60 frames per second, and was it 1080p or something like that? I don't know, I can't remember. As high as it can get, like pretty much at what you want it to be. It's one of the best looking games on PS4, without doubt. But moving on, the actual open world in the game. Now, this is kind of a controversial topic. Like, some people are going to think differently of it, because I've heard a lot of people say the open world is empty. There's not anything in it. It's just a desert with trees, and when you go to Earth, well, actually, the first one's just a desert with rocks and cliffs, and then when you go to our area, it's just a desert with grass and trees and rocks and cliffs. So yeah, like, and a few bases here and there, outposts and stuff. So yeah, I guess you could say the open world is pretty straightforward, simple, and flat. But to be honest, I'm okay with it. I like Metal Gear's Solid 5's open world because there were enemies around each corner. There were a pretty good amount of side missions that were all replayable, which I really like. So yeah, to be honest with you, I don't have a problem with the open world at all. It looks great and everything. Only thing, well, I'll get into that in a second. I'll get into that right now, actually. Moving on to gameplay, controls, and traversal and all that. I like all the different ways you could get around the open world. Like, for instance, there was D-Walker. If you want to use him, you add your trusty horse, which was my favorite. Then you add the vehicles like the Jeep, the trucks, the tanks, all that kind of stuff. Like, it was a lot of fun getting around the world in different ways and everything. That was just a lot of fun. The controls in the game, when I first started playing it, when I first played Ground Zeroes, this goes back to Ground Zeroes. Way back when I first played that, I thought the controls were weird, but they're actually pretty good now that I've played it a little more. I really actually like them a lot. I did have to switch something up. Like, I think I had to switch my crouch button to the classic O, because I just couldn't do it the other way they had it. I think they had crouch as X or something like that before. I just couldn't do that. So yeah, I had to switch that around. But other than that, that was really the only thing. But like I said, you can switch it around, so there's no problem there at all. So controls are good. The game feels good. Combat feels good. All the gameplay mechanics and features, in my opinion, feel really good. The stealth in the game is wonderful. This is a heavy stealth game. Like, you get rewarded a lot more if you play with stealth, but at the same time, you can play offensively if you're good enough. Like, it just takes a little more skill to play it offensively, and takes a lot of skill to play it stealthily too, to be honest. But either way, you can play it how you want, so that's really great. But getting to what I wanted to talk about. Now, the climbing in the game. Let me just say this. Like, I was really disappointed with the climbing. I have to say, that was one thing about the game that disappointed me really heavily. Really heavily. Like, I did not like the fact that you couldn't climb on most of these cliffs and stuff that you saw. Like, you could get up on some of them, but like, for instance, you get a companion later on in the game named Quiet, a buddy, and she can go like on top of tons of huge ledges and cliffs. I want to be able to get to some of the places she was getting, but like, you can't, like, because you can barely, because like, there are literally selected cliffs and stuff throughout the world that you can climb on or get on. Like, otherwise you can't, it won't let you climb stuff. Like, I remember during one of the E3 trailers, like, we saw it open, the trailer or the gameplay literally began with Snake climbing up the side of a cliff. That is not in the full game, and that's why I didn't like, because I thought that was really cool when I saw it at E3. It was not in the final game. There's no climbing up cliffs like that in this game. So that was a little bit of a disappointment for me, but what are you going to do? Now, I thought the difficulty of the game was okay. I thought that was just fine. Like, the enemies were were pretty hard all the time. Like, you had to be careful with them, but they weren't like impossible. You just had to know what you were doing. So it felt really nice and balanced to me, in my opinion, at least. Next, one problem I need to talk about. This is the reason I traded the game in, to be honest with you. And while I'm here, I just want to say, I guess I technically did not finish the game. I guess technically, I actually did. I beat the main story. Like, I beat the main first story of the game. But at the same time, after you beat the main story, like, a whole nother little storyline opens up. I don't think it's as big as the first one, though. I think, like, the main game is the part that I've beaten. That's pretty much the main big story that I guess is going to sort of lead you into Metal Gear Solid 6, if they're having that, or whatever is going on there. But, like, I guess they're calling it, like, what is it, Chapter 2 or something like that. In the game, that's what it's called. And it pretty much focuses around what I think it focuses around Quiet, I believe, and her character. I did not actually finish that one for a simple reason. Like, you get like 3 or 4 missions in the chapter, and it's fine, you know. And this is pretty much where I stopped during my walkthrough, so you can go back to my walkthrough and be a witness to this. But once you get to a certain point, you literally have to replay multiple of the main missions from the first story in the game, from the first main story, like that you've already beaten, that you literally just finished beating the first chapter, like the first main story in the game. And then if the game forces you to go back and replay some of those chapters or some of those missions from the first part of the game with like different like settings to make it harder. It's like a challenge mode, but you're forced to play if you want to continue the game. Like for instance, the first one I played, I had to do one of the old missions without any weapons or anything like that, and without what's it called, like the little slow motion thing, like where he slows down time so we can see, like I had, like, that was the mission, but it was like one that I played like towards the very beginning of the game, and they want you to replay. I found that kind of unlikable. I really didn't like that, to be honest. Like, it really turned me off from the game. I did not feel like going back through some of those missions. Like, I literally just beat them. I didn't feel like playing them again. Now, I may have overreacted. I probably shouldn't have traded in the game right away, but like, that was just a huge turn off to me. But who knows, maybe if things get better, if they come out with some good DLC or something for a game, I might get it again and cover it then. But for now, guys, I was a little disappointed with that part of the game. I just don't think forcing people to replay the old missions that they've already beaten is a good decision to make while making a game. I just did not think that was good at all. That was a bad decision. But anyway, guys, if it wasn't for that, Metal Gear Solid, if it wasn't for those two problems I just mentioned, like the one about them making you replay missions, and what was the other one, not being able to climb, stuff that I just felt you should have been and that they sold in the E3 trailers. If it wasn't for that, I would have gave this game a 10 out of 10. Like, I really did enjoy that game, guys. Like, I really did enjoy it. But I'm going to have to give Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, a 8.9. It really is a good game, and if you have the extra money laying around, you just want a solid game to play, then I recommend picking it up. Who knows, maybe you'll be a little more lenient towards those missions and stuff, but for me, that was just a turn off. But anyway, guys, that's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys on the next one. ZFR out, guys.